And Ken,
Yep,
when we get to
we
the...
are live.
Oh, never mind. I'll type it.
So, hello, all of you Mercs out there watching. From when I say this, it's about 11:01 Central Time. By the way, I am Ken Applegate, your archivist. You can find me on the forums as Ken Snaps. I've got with me today Rich Whitaker from Britain. He's our PR officer. You can find him on the forums as Saz.
I was supposed to say something there. Hi.
Somebody's got the broadcast running in the background, so we're hearing an echo from them. That's superb. We've got also Tony Johnson, who is our personnel apps team manager leader. Find him on the forums as Ulrich Cantier. We've got Lord Kenneth Giles from the Britain area as well. He's the conclave minister. Find him on the forums as Niobe. And last one here is Sal Atinello from California area. He's hang on, I know this one, the clan admin officer, in charge of making sure all the clans do what they're supposed to and all that. Find him on the forums as Caden Rooney. And I've got sitting here with me in my own house, Corey Applegate. She's our quartermaster. Find her on the forums as Corey Snaps. I hope you all are hearing this well. If you have questions that you'd like us to answer, there's a whole bunch of testing things over there. I'm going to select one here for you. First test question, yes, it works. Next question up says, will there be a link to this video to be shared afterwards? Yes, I will post that up in the forums afterward. If you can't see the questions, there's a Q&A button. Click that. Hopefully you'll be able to see it all there. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to, let's see, Perso. Tony, hey, you want to tell us about what's going on over there without getting into the member suggestions yet?
Yeah, as of right now, guys, and you guys can hear me, correct?
Yep.
Okay. As of right now, it's been pretty high pace, guys. With C7 around the corner, I think the goal I set for this year was for us to hit 1250 members. We're right now at I just approved 1155, so we're already less than 100 into it. I think we're not just going to hit that goal. I think we're going to probably eclipse 1,300 members this year. So we're really doing a lot of movement in the membership growth, and hopefully C7, just like C6, will see an increase as well. I know we're getting a lot of questions about rivets. You know, there's a lot of changes that are coming to the app team. This is something that we've started this year, everyone. I know it's kind of frustrating because in the midst of updating our CRLs and getting some of these aspects put in, making sure all the revisions are put in. Unfortunately, guys, life kind of smacked me in the face. Got a new job, and I've been running crazy, moving. So everything's been behind, so that'll be out after C7. But nonetheless, the kits are really looking good coming out. We're getting a lot of good feedback from our Rousselors. We just want to continue to get that feedback and just be patient with us. I know I've been behind on the CRL revisions, but we're adding things in now just to kind of get them in there, and then I'll touch them up and be more explanatory once I get to it. We still have the Rousselor training going on. I suggest all officers get involved with that, not just Rousselors. The PSA program, I hope you guys actually are liking that. If you have any suggestions of PSAs you'd like, we're trying to get more information out to the membership. That way we can continue to put out quality armor kits as we always have, because now that we've hit 1,000 members last year, we're going to continue to grow exponentially. So we need to make sure that as we grow, we keep that quality of our armor kits still close to heart. That's about all I have.
Okay. Thanks, Tony. Let's see here. We'll flip back to this. Next up, Sal. You want to talk about some election reforms and suggestions you've been making?
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Well, as many of you know, this has been my first year handling the elections, and a lot of the things that we went through, uh, I've looked at and thought that there might be a way to make some reforms to the election process that would make things flow a lot smoother, not just for myself and my team, but also for the general Mercs membership. Um, I'm looking at doing a lot of things with reform, and when we get to that point, I will bring up those things one by one and see how everybody feels about them.
Okay. Saz, Rich, you want to take it over?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, bud. Effectively, I've looked through the boards, and none of my teams have any issues that they like to address to me just yet. However, they have been busting their guts, especially over the all the work for celebration. So, with the council's permission, I'd like to give at least my art team a week's holiday after celebration to just let them recharge their batteries, because they'll have a long. They've had a really hard time going up to celebration. Then they're going to have to do celebration, and they're going to have to come back from celebration, and then they're going to have a few issues. So what I'm planning to do is give them a week's holiday after celebration. So we'll have a part where basically PR will shut down for a week, just to allow our members to recharge their batteries. And I think it's only fair. They have been working very, very hard. Social media has grown to 145,000 people, which was basically, I'd probably say we've done over 100,000 more than we had this time last year. We've also started manually caring for Twitter and Instagram as well, so we're hopefully going to see those numbers start rising as well. The goal of social media continues to be directing interest towards the Merc sites. That's still going to be our fundamental goal for that one. The card games, well, the test card game's done, and I believe it should be heading your way, Sal, very, very shortly. So hopefully we'll be able to play test those at the back tables at celebration. And the final thing is I'm working on the Verilore Quick Reference Guide as my main personal project. So hopefully I will get a good reference guide for Verilores to know what they're doing, and hopefully that will give them at least a bit more confidence in how they perform their duties. And that's me done.
Thanks, Rich. Next report, we're going to turn it over to Corey, have her talk about quartermaster things.
All right, as Rich mentioned, yes, the card game has been ordered and it's supposed to ship on Tuesday, so it should definitely make it to Sal in time for celebration, so we'll be testing that. In addition to card game, we've been working on basically everything for celebration. I've already filled Sal's garage with everything that I could think of to send out there, and there's still more headed that way. Polo shirts are headed to out there shortly. Basically, as far as our current projects go, we've been concentrating more on celebration than anything else. Sales for the last year have actually been quite good. Sorry about that. We had made sure to produce more merchandise last year than we normally plan to, because we were trying to raise funds for celebration. We were able to pay for all of the bash this year with money raised, and we've already been able to, we should be able to keep the operational fund quite high, actually, from sales. We generally sell out of things quickly. I only order about 200 or so, and then, I mean, if it sells out within a day, then we order more. Otherwise, it just kind of sits around my house. So anything that's still available in the store is coming out, or coming with me to Celebration, and will be available at the convention. And then once the convention is over, we'll be bringing. Sorry. When the convention is over, we'll start working on other non-celebration items. So we're working. We've got a whole list of projects that we're all tossing back and forth and trying to decide what will be available for the rest of the year. We've had some really good ideas, so we should be able to keep things rolling the way we normally do. I will be moving this year, so things might slow down a bit this summer, but otherwise we're going to try to keep at least a steady tempo of merchandise coming out for the rest of the year. We just don't have anything solid yet because Celebration has been ridiculous for us. So, and we do plan on releasing the calendar that we worked on last year. It just, so calendar for sure, and then we've got a bunch of other stuff. If it doesn't come out this year, then it'll be out next year.
Okay. Thanks, Corey. Next is my opportunity to speak about the finances of the club. Pull up that window. Too many windows. Right? Year to date, we are sitting on, okay. Last year, from January 1, 2014 through December 31st of 2014, we had a total profit of $10,000. Operating funds, all of that came from various donations, other revenues. We had AdSense revenue, which is the from plugging in on the ads on the web page. So anyone that's not an auxiliary or supporter or higher tier member is subject to ads from the Mercs forum. That brought in a few $1,000s through the Facebook and Amazon affiliates. When you click on a link from Facebook and go buy a t-shirt on the Facebook page, etc., they send us money also. So we've got a couple $1,000s there. Supporter tags brought in a few more thousand. As of right now, we currently have no debt. We are sitting in the positive, which is great because we have yet another $7,000 check that should be posted shortly for the bash and the rest of the celebration funds. All in all, we are in the clear. Money's coming in as it should be. Money's going out. The store, when it has issues, we're able to get refunds and returns settled correctly, quickly. We hope to change a couple of things around with the store in the near future. By near future, I mean 6 to 8 months. We're looking at more projected incomes and spending, so that way we have better accountability of what the future may hold, what big projects we may have coming up, and etc. As Corey said, we're planning to move, so there will be later this summer that'll impact both the QM and the archivist fields for about 6 weeks, near the 4th of July to beginning of school in August. Other archivist things that we've got going on. We recently updated the leader contact information for all of the ALRADs, regional commanders, and the council. Sent that up to Disney. So if your email address that you signed up on the forums with has changed, please shoot me a PM so we can get that corrected to LFL. I know this list is working because they sent out an email yesterday, and it got to my clan leader, and he posted it in our boards. So LFL is posting events for your local areas using this contact information. If your leadership does not have the correct email address listed, you're not going to be getting the word from LFL. The committees, last thing I'm going to, of current things going on for the archivist, committees are happening. Could always use more people interested in the committees, and if you want to join in with the committees, please let me know. We have about a half a dozen different things. Some is the codex and bylaws, making sure all that's up to date. We have the Autism and Developmental Disabilities Education Committee. We have the Scholarship Review Committee, the LWI Governing Committee. So all of those are, in one way or another, affected through the archivist, and we need people who love doing it and want to be active and maintaining where the Mercs money goes. Future projects, we're going to be updating the database, which is a back-end thing for the website. I'm also speaking slightly for Sean Thompson, Thaxos, the Chief Technology Officer, since he's not able to show up. The club database that is run through the forums is severely lacking, which is part of the reason that the store takes so long to ship out information, because it takes a whole lot of transferring over from one place to another of data and information. There's no consolidated resource to find all the information. So hopefully we'll be able to update that. And then as Alarads or squad leaders, regional commanders, Verilors, etc., all of the officers will also have moderate access to the database, so you can have a more condensed list of information for your region, your squad, your clan, however it applies to you. Should be super helpful. We'll keep you posted with updates as it comes out. That about sums it up for me. I'm going to turn it over to Lord Ken, and we'll see if his microphone's working yet.
Hello!
Swell, there he is. Go ahead.
Right, I have one report from my regional commander, which is that hopefully those should be for North Central region. They're looking to establish a new claim in Minnesota shortly with large new members. Apart from that, the only other thing I have to report is that we have currently just started a regional conclave restructure. We're looking at the roles of the regional commanders and their staff, and changing that a bit to hopefully improve the communications with up and down the chain of command, and make it a lot better and clearer for everybody. That's it.
I'm sorry, Lord Ken, I've got to chuckle at you a bit. I heard about every interjection between your statements, but none of the actual statements. Oh, this is fun. I love technology.
He said there's a conclave restructure. I think I got that. So basically the conclave RC section is going to get restructured to Lord Ken's personal whims and wants. I didn't hear the other bit though.
Okay, I've got a text message from him here. He says the North Central Region report. He says they're seeing progress toward having a new clan established in Minnesota. They have a group who are active on the forums and working to become official. Hopefully later this year they'll have a new clan in the Minnesota area. Sounds fantastic. He also reports that they've started a regional conclave restructure that will improve communications and see a change to the RC and staff roles. Yes, sounds great. He's still typing on one more. He says it should help make things better, and that sounds great. Do you have anything else, Lord Ken?
Well said, Ken. Well said.
You'll see the dots of him typing. Sorry, everyone. I'll go and check over at the question and answer board while I'm waiting for that message to pop up. All right, question and answer. While we're waiting here, yeah, Naya, yeah. Rosalind, I hope we've answered your question. I've pulled it up there at the top. You can now see that we're answering the issue with Niobe fading in and out, and it's impossible to understand. I hope we've cleared all that up for you.
don't forget they are a minute behind also, so they're probably going to have a few seconds to catch up.
Right.
So
I'm gonna wait just a couple more minutes before we move on, or a couple more moments before we move on. Make sure there aren't any questions out there, as we are missing Rob Oldvart, the Allure. We're missing our Chief Technology Officer, Sean Thompson Thaxos, and we're missing the Brigadier, John. I don't know his last name. Rokeem Geklam. Yeah. I can't pronounce screen names either. So, and we're missing Tom Hutchins, our Mandalore. So those three are unavailable to join us today. 4, something like that. Yep. They had plans to attend, and then last moment things came up and interfered, as things happen.
would you like to explain?
But we'll carry on anyway. I see no questions popping up here. Moving into suggestions for discussion during the General Assembly. The first thing up has been a hot topic on the boards recently regarding the social media policy update. Up to the council's discussion and outcome of that, or do you want me to try and find the summary of what we talked about on that?
Well, I think the basic summary is that Tom's probably going to review the manuals and see if there's some way that we can incorporate some of the suggestions that were made by the plans to put them in, and then we'd go from there. From what I remember.
Yep, I'm quite certain that C7 has delayed most of our updates and policy changes. We will probably be actually convening again in a couple, 3 months or something like that to as an after celebration General Assembly. Hopefully we'll not do it on Easter as well and have some more people attend. So we should be able to discuss in more detail more of the changes and policies. But moving right along, the election policy change, there's been a lot happening with the election policies, as Sal already mentioned. Sal, you spoke briefly to the policy changes. Do you want to say anything more on it?
Yeah, thank you very much. I have been receiving PMs, and I was part of I read the generalized thread that was started concerning some of the election changes people would like to see. I did read all of that and took all of that into consideration. There were quite a few meaningful suggestions made. Some of the things that I'm looking at doing is, I don't want to sound too catastrophic here, but I'd like to redo the elections, and I'm looking at the feasibility of that as far as um, basically doing them completely opposite from the way we do them now, where we are holding the elections for the conclave minister and the RCs first rather than the AILERADs. And the main reason for that is I was getting a lot of questions about the new AILERADs coming in, not knowing the process, not knowing the proper people to speak to, not knowing all of the candidates. And so I thought if we had all of our incumbent leaders, being the AILERADs, voting for the RCs, and the incumbent RCs voting for the conclave minister, that gives everybody an idea of not only the people that are involved, but also they actually know the level of the job they did. So they would have a better knowledge of whether somebody should be revoted in or if new blood is needed. I also thought long and hard on the question about not knowing all of the candidates and enacting some sort of a meet the candidate post. And I want to let everybody know that I thank them for all of their suggestions. I thought that discussion went on very well and a lot of valid points were made. And I am going through a set of questions to ask each of the candidates so that we can post that on every election board that we set up. This way people can get a better idea of who the candidates are, why they want to become a leader in the Mercs without actually breaking the campaigning rule that the MMCC has set up. Other than that, the only other thing that I have on my agenda that I'm really working on and going to try to push forward in this coming year would be a member database update. And by database, I don't mean the Mercs forums. Just so the general membership knows, the process we go through when a new member comes on board is that we record their information so that we have a general member list. Includes screen name, real world name, email address, things of that nature, just in the event if we ever need to contact anybody, we have all their contact information. Unfortunately, a lot of members move over the years, their email addresses may change, and we have no way of knowing that. So all of the information we have on our Clan Administration Office database becomes outdated each time a member moves or changes an email address. So we're looking at really getting a push towards getting members to send us updates so that my team and I can update our member list. This way we have accurate email addresses for everybody, accurate addresses in the event that we ever ship anything to anybody, and things of that nature. So you can expect to see that coming down the pipeline here this year. And that's about all that I have.
Sounds good, Sal. Thanks so much. I'm going to flip back over to General Assembly, take a look at the next suggestion. Ooh, adding an additional Roost per clan. This one was a suggestion asking, is there a specific rule or reason for adding another Roosalor, and if there isn't a specific rule, why not? Can we add one in? Sal, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I think I can talk about that.
Sorry, Tony. Whomever, go ahead.
Yeah, I've been dealing with that issue, and if Tony wants to jump in here after I'm done, feel free, Tony. There is an informal rule that we've been using, a guideline, if you will, as far as adding extra Roosalors. There is for every 10 members a clan has, we've been allowing an extra Roosalor to be added to the clan. So that's 10 official members. I want to make sure we get that straight right now. Every 10 official members we can add, a clan may request, if they want to, it's not a necessity, but they may request an extra Roosalor. And at that point, we're pretty forthcoming about allowing that. We won't delve into a lot of details as to why you need it and things like that. If the clan officers feel they need another Roosalor after they've reached the 10 official member guideline, then we're pretty good about granting that. There's been a lot of talk about unofficial members counting towards that. We're still looking into that. The biggest issue, just so everybody knows that we have with that, is it's really hard to quantify unofficial auxiliary members. We don't really record auxiliary members anywhere. They have a screen name on the boards. So it's really tough to quantify the number of auxiliary members a clan has. And then even so, if we can quantify how many they have, then we've got to find a way to quantify how many are actually really active in the clan and actually need the help of additional. So those are the challenges we're facing as far as counting auxiliary members in a clan's data. So that's kind of the roundabout way of answering the question. The question is, yes, there is a guideline set up. It's 10 get a Roosalor, and other than that, we're still looking at the suggestion about the auxiliary members and them needing help. Now, there was some discussion about maybe perhaps a regional Roosalor, and we are discussing that and looking into the feasibility of that as well. But that should be something that we'll discuss and will come down the pipeline after we've made our decisions on that. Tony, anything to add?
Yeah, mine is a little bit more different, guys. And this, for those of you who do know me, I'm a straight shooter, so I don't mean to offend anyone. I'm not speaking to any one person, okay? we are looking at a couple things also to help with the process. There's even a regional Roosalore position that we're looking at, which wouldn't take over any any Roosalore duties or any regional commander duties. This would be an additional position that we would look into adding to help make the process a little more smoother. Add one more layer to help members get official. And also help in clans where, one, there's not a Roosalore available, or two, where the Roosalore is not really pulling their weight, because that's something we're running into, and it's not something new, but it's something we need to start, we're starting to look at, because we're getting a lot of applications. The higher numbers we get, the more members we're going to get, and we're going to explode here at any time now, and we could jump to 2,000 members by next year. I mean, I'm not saying it'll happen, but it's possible. The problem right now is we don't want to add Roosalores to a position, add a second Roosalore when the first Roosalore is not really doing their duty. So we don't want to have 2 or 3 Roosalores to a clan when really the first one's not doing it. So we do need clans to do their due diligence of, we understand life gets in the way. Let your clan leadership know, hey, I can't really do the duties right now. I've got something going on. So we want to make sure that our Roosalores are there doing what they're supposed to do, because they're the foot soldiers that are making this stuff happen in the club. And if we don't have them available to help these members and guide them, when an application comes to me, I have to be the bearer of bad news and give them feedback that in some cases, which has happened this year, that they have to get a brand new helmet. And we're talking anywhere between $140 to $240 worth of money just to drop in a new helmet. And that's the worst thing to say to a member, but we have to do it. So we want to make sure that the Roosalore position is taken very seriously, because you guys are the backbone of this club. And, that's really all I have to say about it. And like I said, with the regional Roosalore, we're not going to get into that too much, guys, because the council we're trying to iron out a lot of details, but it is something that we're looking at adding in order to help make more layers to the process and give more support to clans and the app team, so we can kind of bridge that gap a little better.
Hey Tony, while I got you on the line, the next item up is the app team changes. There was a suggestion posted that says we should change the app team's mission so that instead of new members being approved by the approval team, they would instead be approved through a popular vote in the official member boards. Basically, anytime someone would submit an application, it would get submitted to a new poll as an official member-only board. Later, a suggestion was added that it goes to a Roosalore board. In either case, it would the application would require 2/3 vote from all voting, while the voting period is open for about 2 weeks. There are different levels of approval. Yes, it's approved. Yes, it's approved, but you need to make some changes. No, it's not approved, and there are some minor reasons why. And no, it's not approved. There are some huge concerns we have. And of course, the app team would still maintain their role as being expert feedback to help people as they're working and doing works in progress. And the personnel officer would still be the one in charge of sending out welcome letters or compiling feedback from membership on things that could be adjusted. With that suggestion in mind, would you please speak to it and tell us what you think about that?
When we look at the approval process, and you guys can hear me, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. When we look at the approval process, I'm going to address the first thing that comes to mind. And leaving voting open for 2 weeks, here's the problem with that. I can usually get through an app anywhere between 3 to 5 days. Rare cases at 7. Right now, we're trying to get through as quick as we can. But let's just look at it. And right now, if I put that forward right now in a 2-week process, no one would be approved before C7. And that's what we can't really bog it down too much, because we can get through apps a lot quicker. Now, to go on to the official members voting, I do run Roosalores, Verilores, and Alarads through the training process, but we do this day in and day out. So what I see is not what a trained eye is going to see, not just myself, but the entire app team, is not essentially what anyone else is going to see. And I can speak from personal experience as a personnel officer. When I came onto the team, there were things I weren't catching right away. And that's because I wasn't looking at these every single day. On top of that, it can very easily become a popularity contest. Okay, because if we're letting the official member vote on it, well, if his region wants him really approved really bad, but there's quality clauses in or issues, anything, we could get kits voted through on popularity contests and not on quality. Our app team is not allowed to discuss or vote. They can answer questions on anyone in their clan or if they've actually worked on their armor. So that allows us to not allow any personal objections to come in. They have to remain silent through the app process. Another thing is it doesn't really a fairness does have to come in where 1 week, let's say someone gets 500 votes of all over the place, and then the next week someone gets 50 or someone gets 6. It's the consistency that we can't really control because I can't hold the official membership accountable. While as the app team I can. If an app team member does become dormant and doesn't perform their duties, we have a process to where we reach out to them, ask them if they can perform it. If they can't, we will remove them from the team because we have to have an active team. And on that, during 2 weeks, we've seen how forum threads can build up and explode. So I'm having to go through the entire thread. If I have to sift through 200 replies, which is possible in 2 weeks, that's a lot more work you're going to put on me. I'm not trying to say I don't mind the work. I do a lot of work, but aside from this, guys, remember it is a voluntary position, and I put a lot of time into it. I'm here as we're doing the assembly, approving applications. I'm going through them. I'm having to multitask all throughout the day, and if I'm sifting through a lot of replies, it's going to bog down the approval process, and it's going to burn app team members out because we're going to have to sift through and realize, okay, this comment was valid. This one really, we don't want to put too many hands in the cookie jar. It's a good brought up because it's enlightens the members, and if anyone wants to get a more inside view of what I go through and the app team goes through, please send me a PM, and I'd be happy to show you kind of a day or a week in the shoes of the personnel officer.
Tony, while I got you on
And
the
that's all I got,
subject,
Ken.
while I got you on
Yep.
the subject, we got the change in CRLs for suggesting to add EVA foam back onto the list. Can you explain why it was taken off the list in the first place, and discuss whether or not it might be possible to put it back on the list?
Correct. Guys, this is a great suggestion. This is why we do these grand assemblies, because this is a thing that we get a lot of questions about. So it's great that it came aboard. We took EVA foam off because, unfortunately, EVA foam can look good in the right hands. But the problem isn't that it isn't making it good. And it does take a lot of skill to make it. And I'm not saying that someone doesn't have it. I'm not saying someone can't learn it. But what we are concerned with is the durability of the EVA foam. Yes, there are some people who can argue that they can make it very durable, but I need to look at everything from the average member. Okay? Because if the average member uses EVA foam, after could be 2 or 3 troops, you could go through it and you've got some major adjustments to be fixed. And let's just say they don't. And let's say we're in a situation where the Roostalor is not able to be active due to real life or something like that. What ends up happening is this guy's trooping in a Mandalorian armor kit at an official event or a charity event, and the quality of the armor does drop. EVA foam is very fun to work with. I've actually helped a buddy build a ODST armor, and that was when I had my first experience, and we made it look like it wasn't. There was no way to tell it was EVA foam next to one that was ABS. But after 2 troops, it started to really fall apart on it. And we want to protect the membership as far as the least time you have to work in this armor and the more time you get to troop, that's what we want. We also want to save money. There's just too much money to put in, not just in making it, but maintaining it next to Sintra. You can get an armor, an 8x4 armor piece for around, I get mine for $25. And that's 3mm, and I think 6mm I get for $32. So there's a lot of options that are there that are going to be a lot cheaper. And if you don't like the look of 3mm, 6mm looks really good. Takes a little bit more to mold, but it's a really fantastic alternative next to EVA foam.
Hey Tony, while we were talking about the CRL's changes for EVA foam, Dar Kyram on the forums, Daryl Vincent in real life, asked, when regarding the apps process, why not put more emphasis on clan leadership, focusing more on preparing their potential members before having them submit to the app team? It sounds to me like what he's asking is there some way we can implement a checkpoint for the Roost Lords at the local level before a member submits their application for approval?
And Dar, that's an excellent question. It's one of the reasons why we're going to bring on the regional Roosalor. We don't want to require that because we've got some clans who've got some amazing leadership, and then we've got to be honest with ourselves, guys. We've got some clans who aren't as active. And it's nothing against those clans, but let's just say we've got a new official member or a new unofficial member who's very eager, who's very excited, and he's waiting on that Roosalor or that Verilor or that Allarad, and he's like, I'm ready to go, and his kit's phenomenal, but ends up walking away from the club. I agree with you 100%, and that's why we're putting the regional Roosalor in, because if they can't get a hold of the Allarad, we want to add something like that where it's not a requirement, but a strong suggestion. Try to contact them.
If I can just interject here, the other issue is that what used to be called camps, but now is strongholds, is coming through. There's definitely a point where we're going to be putting, or we've asked the RCs to put together some officer training schedules together, as well as putting through things like that. So that part of addressing, whilst Tony's addressing it from his end, we're also trying to address it from the other end as well. So we're hopefully going to do a double whammy where we can educate officers in being able to deal with rules better, and also empower the officers to be able to do what they feel needs to be done as well.
Thanks, guys. Daryl, I hope that answers your question well. If it doesn't, please submit another one. We'll clarify again. Next thing up on the list from the agenda is the slutty costume avoidance policy. I apologize for those if that language offends you. I'm pulling it straight from the suggestion, and as a quote, I'm going to read to you the suggestion. Here it is. We should make a policy of distancing ourselves from people, mainly women, who dress as Star Wars characters, but in a sexual/slutty way. These women were making a poor impression on our groups, MMCC, 501st, and Rebel Legion. Well, while I don't disagree that adult-oriented costumes should be maintained in the adult atmosphere, that if we were to actually put into writing a policy that says we don't want any affiliation with characters who, or with costumers who dressing adult costumes, that would be, I feel that would be elitist and or
well, it's just plainly sexist, isn't it?
Yes, it's sexist. Absolutely.
The fact is, let's get down to brass tacks here. We have a rule in the Mercs that we do not discriminate based on several things, including religion, politics, gender, any sort of belief whatsoever. And for us to put in a rule that would just go completely against that whole base foundation of what the Mercs are all about is just totally counterintuitive. So on the short answer, no, but because obviously the question still deserves an answer, I'll just basically go through the reasons why I feel that we wouldn't really want to go anywhere near this or touch it with a barge pole. First of all, we respect our female members. And the other question is what defines as, and I do apologise for saying this, people, slutty, is definitely subjective to the person who's looking at it. The fact is that everybody has the right to dress up in costuming however they want to dress, whether they want to wear as little or as much as they want to. We as a club do not discriminate against what people want to do and want to how they want to express themselves. As a club, we have our rules. Those rules are basically given a little bit of a tweak by LFL. And whilst LFL don't want adult themes within our Mandalorian Merc costumes, that is something that we do within our own ranks. But we're not going to publicly point at people and say, you're doing something wrong, because that's not what the Mercs is about. The Mercs work with everybody. That's the whole. That's the bottom line. Whether you've got a personal problem with someone, whether you've got a political problem with someone, whether you've got whatever problem with them, it really doesn't matter. You suck it up and you go and work with them regardless, because that's what the Mercs is about. That is the whole thing about the spirit of the Mercs, is that we work with people and we respect people and we allow people to express themselves how they want to. Within the Mercs, we have rules, and I'm sorry, but there is no way on earth, as the PR officer, that I would allow anybody to be discriminated just because they happen to look a little less dressed than anybody else.
Brian, we'll take a pause for a moment and let you type a reply if you have one. Is there more clarification or another concern that we didn't address with that question? If you're still typing, that's fine. If not, we're going to move on. Tony, I'm going to push another question back to you. Brian Hamilton says he's got a couple of EVA kits that have lasted for over a couple of years, and advocates that if that EVA does work and if it needs fixed, then fix it. Would you care to speak to that, or no? Tony? Tony, you there? Okay, we'll come back to that one in a moment. Mark is asking, back on the topic of the adult costumes. Are adult-themed costumes approvable on the CRLs?
No.
No. No, not by. No, absolutely not. Not with the MMCC.
No, as I said before, we have our rules, and they're also suggested by Lucasfilm that we leave them as not adult-based or anything that promotes drugs or anything or blood or gore and stuff like that. Those are the things that Lucasfilm have asked us to look at and make sure that we don't do that. What we're feeling is that there's the policy that they're asking is more to do with should we associate ourselves with people outside the Mercs. And the general answer is yes. If someone's polite enough to speak to you, and you're really polite enough to speak to that, it doesn't matter how they're dressed. You know, it's not an issue that how they're dressed. I also saw a question that said that the actual mark came from 3 women within a region. It doesn't matter who makes the suggestion; it still would be a poor reflection on the club itself. And it basic thing is just basically PR suicide for us to actually make anything that might discriminate against females. We just can't do it. That answered everything?
I hope so. We have one other who's Ace Plays. Tesvalo from the Best Elite Clan area says he was going to make a Slave Leia joke, but he actually brings up a good point. It's the Slave Leia costume, bikini costumes are actually their own entity approved by LFL. The argument could be made that those are adult costumes, etc. So, I mean, everybody's got a point of view and a opinion on that one. but there are appropriate places for them. There are times where it would be inappropriate, of course, for women to be dressed lewdly. Brian, I honestly don't know the situation in which you guys were faced with this situation. I don't know the circumstances and all that regarding it. I think, in my opinion, if there are women dressed in inappropriate costumes near and around your families, I honestly wouldn't know how to tell you, hey, I don't know how to tell you to avoid it. It's going to be part of the convention.
I think the thing is that the first thing you need to do is their costume against the policy of the convention itself. That's the first question that you need to ask. The problem is what I appreciate that a lot of people have said that, you know, their children and so forth. You know, I understand and sympathise with that, but that does not still not give us an excuse as a group to widely discriminate against people, because what we're basically saying is you're not good enough to hang around with us, and that's not the message that a all-encompassing and, you know, a costume club that says everyone's welcome. If we say everyone's welcome except you, then we're not putting out the right message. The thing is that if you've had something happen in your local area and, you know, there's something that's offended, then maybe, you know, if you want to speak to the staff, that's fine. But it's all down to you how you personally react. If you can justify your reaction, if you don't go out and officially attack the person or verbally attack the person, then you're, you know, if you're moving within your, you know, within the club rules and just ignoring the person or taking the children away from that person, or maybe even speaking to event staff about that person, you know, and how they're dressed, then leave it to the convention to deal with it, rather than trying to be, you know, a vigilante and start trying to force your opinions on other people, because that's the road towards intolerance, and it's going to put us in a negative light if we're the bad guys, so to speak. Because all it takes is someone to go onto their Facebook page and go, oh my God, can you believe these Mandalorian Mercs? They were so dissing me, and they were so horrible to me, and they were threatening me, and blah 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 blah. All they need to do is that, and then you find that the Mercs is now having to deal with a wider issue, which is basically people jumping on Facebook, and then it's going to start, you know, building and building and building. If there's an issue, I'm not saying that there's not an issue in the local area. Try to keep it as local as possible and deal with it as best you can. So, but we're not going to blanket ban people who dress up in costumes of an adult nature. Oh, sorry, when I say blanket ban, I mean as in blanket ban from having any sort of communication or thing to do with them. We treat people how we want to be treated, and we just all I'm trying to do is just try to have a tolerant attitude to these people. If whether, you know, you like it or not, you know, sometimes it can get a bit disconcerting, and I do appreciate the point about children. But at the same point is that it is a public convention, and unless the convention says that it's against the rules for them to do them, then they unfortunately have every right to be there.
We've got quite a few pluses on this question here. It says Gail Kabur took a look at the CRLs and the membership application, asking about adding in a line of, has a work in progress, do you have a work in progress or plan input, pre-app thread, etc.? Is there something about that we can add to the membership application? And yes, there is. I'll actually pass it over to Tony, since that's kind of his thing. Tony, you there? Tony? You said you had your microphone fixed. Do you have it fixed? All right, Tony, until you get your mic fixed, I'll go ahead and start jabbering on about it. There has been a request placed to the Chief Technology Officer in order to add a line about has a Rusalor or official member looked at your thread, looked at your kit, looked you over, given you suggestions, improvements, and can you link us to your work in progress? I'm fairly certain the app team doesn't need to go through your work in progress because they can see your progress. Whether or not you were able to, they see your final product through the work in progress with the membership application. So it would be superfluous for them to look at it at your work in progress thread. Aside from all that, Tony, you there? You ready to give it a whirl?
What about now?
Yes, that works fine.
Okay. So to answer that, we are, and you can still hear me, correct?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. To answer those guys, we are looking at adding a couple more things. Of one, who helped you specifically? Adding a line like which merc specifically helped you? Were you helped by your Roost lore? To give us a better understanding, because like I said, we are wanting to address the see, we want to I want to reward. We want to acknowledge, like, hey, you know what? Good job. You know, I want to reach out to the membership who helped this member out, because those are things we want to see. This also lets us kind of know of, okay, this is the 4th application and no one's helped with their armor. Maybe we need to reach out to it. So we are looking into things like that. If that does answer your question, if you need more elaboration, please type in the thread. To go back to the EVA phone before my mic messed up, I do understand that some people, like I said earlier, can really work with this stuff really well. But in the end, we got to look at it from the average member standpoint. And EVA foam looks really cool. It thinks it's like a cool material to work with, but we need to look at it from their standpoint, and the average member is not going to know how to do this. And though there are tutorials to help out with that, I would really hate to get to a point where someone spent quite a substantial amount of money and then have to tell them, look, this isn't going to work. You've kind of passed the point of no return. In lack of better words, I would say it a lot differently. But for time constraints here, it would have to tell them, like, look, you're going to have to go a different route. And that means more money. That can be very discouraging for a brand new member. And if he's received help, it could then be a domino effect to upset the people who've helped him. Or if he's received no help, it leaves a bad taste on, well, the mercs really aren't that helpful. So we need to judge it as far as the average member. I hope that kind of clarifies it, because I do understand there's some people that work really well with this material, but it's more so we need to work with something that's going to protect the average member.
Hey, Tony, before your microphone fades out again and quits on us, can you talk to the next suggestion about the clans handling their own Verdika training and information? It was specifically regarding trying to make sure that it's handled by someone the children know personally instead of someone in far-off internet land.
I no longer run the Vertica core guys, but I did run it at one point in time, and Bruce and Ordo is the one who runs it right now. And it's in the overall, if we left it to that, guys, not everyone's going to be as proactive as, say, one clan or the other. You can add stuff to it. From what I understand, if you want to build on top of it, I don't think there's any issues of why you couldn't do it. We do stuff with our Vertica and our clan where we allow them to bounty hunt with one official member, and it kind of, there's a contest within our own clan of, at the end of the year, we tally up all the bounties, and then we tally up our Vertica bounties and other charity work that they do with us. So, and also, there's child safety. What if the Vertica core doesn't have a parent in the mercs? It's, in the end, it becomes a safety issue, and by putting it on the Vertica core, we kind of are able to blanketly take care of the Mandalorian Mercs Club by not putting one person in there, because if an incident happens, God forbid that ever happens, I hope it never does, but say an incident does happen, and they're the ones in charge of the Vertica, as far as we take the responsibility of the Vertica core and just give it to the clans, this could be another issue. Doesn't mean it won't be an issue if it happens without it, but we want to try and take care of this. It's a very difficult situation with children because I'm a father. I'm very protective of my daughter and my son. So we're trying to make this as easy as possible because it's never an easy situation because you want to make sure we take care of all avenues, and that's hard to see everything coming.
Thank you, Tony. Hey, before you mute yourself and ruin your microphone one last time, the last question we had was about the rejections from the app team having an application rejected on grounds of something that hasn't been published yet.
So with that specifically, almost everything we judge on, almost, because the rivets were one of them, is actually in the CRLs. Now, if we dock on something like that, we do have a clause called the quality clause. And this is where something doesn't meet the quality standards of the armor kit. Okay. Normally, if we start seeing a lot of this, like the rivets, we will add it in the CRLs. Unfortunately, guys, Celebration's been pretty hectic on my team, along with my move and my new job, and I've been back and forth to California for training. I haven't been able to finish my CRL revisions. And if you guys have ever seen the CRLs, if you looked at all of them, it's not just 2 pages. I have a mountain of paperwork we're going to have to revise. I mean, it's a lot of stuff. And we're not going to do one at a time because then it's going to become where we could actually miss something. So we're going to do it all at once. So we are working on that. I understand that frustration in that, but in the end, guys, it's about the quality of the armor kits. And if we see something, I'm going to assume that the membership would rather us tackle it than let something that doesn't meet the quality standard of this club. Because in the end, that's what the app team is charged with, is keeping that quality standard. So if we see a pattern like the rivets, we will add it to the CRLs. But we just have not been able to do it because C7, if you guys haven't noticed, the last 3 rounds of applicants have been 17, 17, and 24. I mean, that's over 50 members approved in less than a month and a half. So it's been very, very difficult on us.
Hey, Brian's raising the point that says the standard has to be equal and the same for everyone. You can't let some through and some not.
As of right now, that was my biggest thing when I came through. When I came through as a personnel officer, consistency was my big thing. Yes, there are times, Brian, and anyone else who has this question, things are going to sneak by us. But as far as dinging something for someone, I can tell you I don't consciously do that. I'm actually harder on my own guys, even though I can't comment on them. You know, if my team missed something, I make sure, hey, I message one of the app team members and say, hey, we missed this on this one on my own team. So there's no favoritism at all. We make sure that we hit consistency on everything. If we, for instance, skin under the bucket, that's a minor thing. That's an easily fixed thing. We will kick back applications for that alone. And we don't let anything ride forward. So as far as consistency, that's my number one charge to this team. And as far as being vigilant to take care of that, I think we've done a great job with that. Yes, there are some that are going to miss through. We do the best we can, but again, it's a lot of applications coming through. We are human. Mistakes do happen.
Thanks, Tony. I'm going to leave this open for a couple more moments while I transition into the next phase. If anyone else here in the council needs to shout out anything, go ahead, unmute yourself and say what you need to say. We're also providing enough time now for commenters to be able to jump in, have any final comments before we kick off to the next, the closing, basically. Anybody here have anything else they need to say?
I have something from Roki for the brigades guys.
Oh, sure.
He says he wants to thank everyone for applying to the brigades. They are working on updating the Canon BRLs, and that the new Protector BRLs will be up very soon. As always, if there's any questions, the door is always open.
Sounds good.
He just couldn't be here, guys, because he had something going on with his family. So I told him I would shoot anything. So that's all he has. If you have any questions, just shoot him a PM, and he'll be able to answer as soon as he can.
Thanks again, Tony. Tom has been busy. He got called into work. Mandalore has been, quite busy being called into work. And same thing with our old Vart, Rob. He also got called in for work at the last minute. At this point, since there were no minutes from last year's meeting, they got corrupted and deleted, unfortunately. Anywho, at this point, I'm going to motion that we move to close up this meeting, and we'll schedule another one, hopefully before the end of the year, and get some more topics presented and discussed. Anybody have any final comments before we close?
Yep. Just to say thank you, Tony, for the wonderful show that you put on today. I quite enjoyed it. Hope everybody else did.
All right, if that's all everybody's got, I'm going to say thanks. And if you guys have any more comments or questions, the YouTube links will be up. You can go ahead and continue to use that link and make comments on the thread afterward. However, you will not be able to search for the YouTube channel video. It will only be available if you follow the link. So please enjoy. Hey, Rosalind Bradshaw throws up there. Don't forget, you can PM the Verdica Corps instructor, Rusan Ordo, if you'd like to throw out any questions or whatnot towards her. Yeah, if you have any other questions or issues or comments, feel free to PM. We'll all be here. Thanks all.